You won't persuade me, Rose, not now that brat is in the house too.
You're too young to understand, Miss Emily.
I am no child anymore.
You have no idea about the world.
Must I be persecuted by everyone in this family? Has your mistress ordered you to me too?
I don't know what you mean by rude, not I. So you always call me when I would advise you for your good.
I desire you will not concern yourself about me, Rose.
I only tell you as a friend, miss, that if you provoke my mistress, it will be the worse for yourself.
This is the most astonishing insolence. I wish your master were come home.
I wish he were, and we'll soon see whose story will be believed. I only speak for peace's sake. This house will be too hot for some of us before the week is over, that's for certain.
Mean me, I am above your malice, and so my uncle be disabused, I care not what is my lot.
Mighty well. If young ladies will be so froptious, let them suffer. But remember, I tell you...
I'll hear no more of your impertinence. Be gone.
A conceited, set-up thing. Who cares for you?
Into what vile hands am I fallen? Oh, and my uncle, unhappy, infatuated man, to give me up to the conduct of this wicked woman, Mrs Etherdown. Yet, let me not carry my accusations too far. He thinks, at least, that she is faithful to him and devoted to his interest. But I will undeceive him, let the consequences be what it may. Dear Mrs. Friendly, I thought you had quite deserted me. I am very glad to see you.
One would not think so, my dear, when you could be a whole month without coming near me. And you are never at home neither.
Never at home, bless me, madam. Why?
Oh, nay, young people love young company. And to be sure, diversions and plays and balls and shows and sights and such things.
Oh, madam, you are quite mistaken.
Oh, why? I don't blame you, child. Youth loves pleasure. And if one doesn't enjoy it when one's young, why,
But that's not the
now,
case, madam, if you'll hear me.
When you come to be of my age, I can tell you, miss, there are plenty of things that keep going wrong with you.
But, dear madam, hear what I have to say. I have never stirred out since I saw you last, nor never knew you called on me.
Bless me, you surprise me, utterly amaze me. What has been the matter? Have you been sick? I have called at the door a dozen times. I am quite in a labyrinth, a wilderness. I can't for my life imagine why
I'll tell you if you'll allow me.
Oh, pray do. By all means, I would hear it. Although I have very little time to stay with you, and I have a great deal to tell you too, miss. I can assure you, but one thing at a time. So, what were you going to say?
Oh, why, not to trouble you with the particulars. I have discovered such irregularities in Mrs Etherdown's conduct that you would not...
A notorious creature, I warrant her, though Sir John thinks her a saint. Heaven help the poor man. He's bad enough himself.
I declared I would tell my uncle of her, and from that time I have never spoken to her. In resentment for this, as she pretends, I have been made a prisoner. But I fear she has some other wicked view, for ever since Sharpley, her brother, that audacious fellow, dares to persecute me with his impudent addresses.
Sharpley? A bold man, or I'm mistaken. There's another of Sir John's favourites. But it's no business of mine. I never meddle in other people's affairs. But to be sure, it was an unchristian thing, and a barbarous thing, and a very unconscionable thing in Sir John. But Sir John has no conscience, so that's what I blame him for.
Indeed, madam, his errors as much deserve pity as his faults do blame.
To send a young creature, an orphan, as I may say, hand over head into town here, into such a family. Little did his poor sister think when she was dying.
Oh, dear Mrs. Friendly, spare me on that topic. I cannot bear to think of it.
My dear, I beg your pardon. I did not think to draw tears from you. Oh, but I'll make you amends for it. I have such news to tell you. Who do you think is arrived from Germany?
Madam, how could you keep this from me so long? And now to surprise me so, you are very good, but indeed you have put me all of it in a flurry.
I put you in a flurry? Lord, child, for what? I mean, if I had been abrupt and indeed and said any particular person was come, you might say so. But so far from that, I intend to make you guess half a dozen times, perhaps, before I tell you.
Oh, it is easy to guess. I am interested in too few to be suspended. Captain Wellford is returned.
The very man, as I'm alive. I never was so surprised since the hour I was born. See, I was combing my hair at the glass.
He arrive?
You shall hear. I was combing my hair.
Tell me, how does he look?
I'll tell you by and by, but I can't stay with you but 2 minutes, for I have a world of business to do before dinner.
But I'll not detain you. Only tell me if he can devise any means to see me. You know I dare not admit him here.
Oh, have patience. Yeah, I was going to describe
Not
how I was
now,
combing
my dear good creature. Only answer my question and leave out the rest of the narrative till another time.
I declare and vow now, that is so like Mr. Friendly. He can't bear to hear a regular narrative, and when I want to be a little intelligible with proper explanations and circumstances and so forth, he always interrupts me.
Oh, that's hard.
Yes, well, to be sure, Mr. Friendly is a very good man and a good husband and all that. Yeah, and we have been married now. Let me see. How long is it?
So she talks, 'tis no matter on what subject.
33. Aye, 33 years. But no matter for that. What were we saying before?
We were speaking of Captain Wellford. I am surprised he has not writ to me.
Oh, why? He arrived but this morning, child, and did not know you were in town until he came to my house. He was posting down to the country to see you until we stopped him. Oh, I vow and swear he's grown taller than he was. Oh, bless me, it is almost 1 o'clock. I must run away, for I have 1,000 things to buy. What do you think I have to buy now?
Oh, nay, I can't tell.
Well, I'll reckon them up to you. In the first place, I have to buy...
You are not going to count over the 1,000 articles on your fingers. For goodness sake, don't lose so much of your time.
Lord, I shall be too late as it is, but I was in such a hurry to tell you the news.
I wonder that you were admitted.
Well, one of the servants was going out, and in I brushed, and up I ran without asking any questions. Wellford would have fain come with me, but Mr. Friendly hindered him. He said he'd write too, and Mr. Friendly bid me tell you that he'd send the chariot for you this evening to bring you to my house.
Aye, but the difficulty is to get thither. For it will be impossible to go out without leave, and I cannot bring myself to ask it of such a wretch. I wish you could contrive some means that
Dear child, I am the worst in the world at contriving. I'm not one of those that can make a long Canterbury tale out of nothing, and can contrive and invent and say this and that and t'other. I am quite in a dilemma for my part.
Oh, I own it goes against me to condescend so far as to ask permission of such a creature. But on this occasion I will get the better of my pride, and desire leave to go to your house. If she refuses me, I must be patient till my uncle comes to town. And then I am determined to quit this house at all events.
When do you expect Sir John? I wonder he's not impatient to see the son that his mistress has brought him since he left town. I'll lay my life he's as fond of it as if it were born in honest wedlock. A naughty man.
When he sent me to town, he went on a visit to an old acquaintance of his, where it seems he was seized with a fit of the gout, which has detained him so long. But he is now well, and we expect him every day.
Drinking and rioting and ranting, no doubt. Poor man, he has no shame in him. Well, I must bid you goodbye. The captain will be on thorns till he sees me.
True, and therefore I will keep you no longer.
I had a great deal more to say, if I could remember it.
You'll never get her away. You'll excuse me, my dear madam, but I have letters to write into the country by a person who waits for them.
Oh, to be sure. You have your correspondence, child. Why not? Well, I won't interrupt you, and I'm so hurried. I have not had time to say a word. So, day, for I must go. You'll be sure to send word, though, you know, if you can't get leave to come.
Oh, undoubtedly.
Come, you shan't stir.
I must wait on you down.
I tell you, something must be thought of directly to prevent it.
I am sure I have thought and argued and begged and prayed as if I had been begging an alms.
Perverse little vixen.
As I said to her this morning, what signifies telling Sir John such a silly thing? Only to make mischief in the family. You know, Mrs Etherdown is a great deal younger than Sir John, and it is a common thing for ladies that live with elderly gentlemen to go astray a little now and then and think no harm.
Was that an argument? You should have frightened her by telling her my influence over Sir John, and that she'd best not provoke me to revenge.
Why? So I did at last.
And what did the unlucky prying hussy say to that?
Say? Why, she said she did not care, not she, that she would not have her uncle deceived, so she could see you and your brat, as she called the poor innocent babe, fairly out of the house. She did not care what became of her.
No, that brat shall be gall and wormwood to her yet.
Aye, if it would induce Sir John to marry you, ma'am, as you think it would.
And a poor reward enough, Rose, for my 3 years' slavery to his caprice and silly humours. Oh, in short, I am so sick of him and the continual disguise I'm obliged to wear, that if I should once accomplish my point, I should rejoice to part from the beast.
I wish it would come to that, for then you could leave him with credit. Lady Woodall and a separate maintenance. Oh, that I could see that day.
Why, you don't fancy I've made so bad a use of my time as to depend on that, I hope? No, Rose. Make the most of the present hour is my maxim.
If you have done so, then what need you trouble your head about consequences, but march off and let him shake his ears?
How do you think I have made my money? Why, by dipping him over head and ears in debt, appropriating every shilling he gave me for other purposes to my own use. This, by Sharpley's management, has hitherto been kept from his knowledge, but if I were to leave him now, he would not pay sixpence for me, and I should lose the fruits of my industry.
How unluckily things have fallen out. I wish Miss Emily had never come into this house for my part.
I wish I durst strangle her. I have kept her hitherto from tattling to her crony, Mrs Friendly, but something must now be done to hinder her from blabbing to Sir John. Well, can you think of nothing? I never saw you so stupid in my life.
Well, I have found out something that may turn to account, I think, with good management.
And what an ill-natured toad are you to keep it to yourself. Out with it, quickly.
No, it's a secret.
Prithee, dear Rose.
It's a secret worth gold.
Well, here's gold for it.
See here, this letter I intercepted a little while ago.
Which way, good girl?
A footman in a smart livery brought it to the door and inquired for Miss Emily. I, suspecting something, was resolved to find her out and said I was her own maid and he might give it to me. He still pressed to see her. I told him she could not be seen, but, says I, looking very slyly, don't you think now I know who you came from? Oh, he cries, winking, then I suppose you expect a fee for delivering this. I laughed and twitched it from him, and away he went, mightily pleased with his own archness.
Clever wench. It is from a lover indeed, and you shall hear the contents. My impatience to hear from my ever-dear Emily will not suffer me to wait Mrs. Friendly's return. I am permitted to hope for the happiness of seeing you today at her house. If nothing should prevent your coming, the chariot will attend you at 5 o'clock. I will not, till I see you, utter one of the 1,000 tender things of which my heart is full. Adieu, your ever faithful R.W. Here are only the 2 initial letters of his name. Who can he be?
Nay, I can't tell. You know, I could not ask his man any questions, and that would be showing him that I was not in the secret.
And so that prating gossip Mrs. Friendly is a go-between after all. Has she been here today?
Aye, that she has, and slipped in unknown to anybody, and Miss and she had a long confab. Don't you think you can strike something out of this?
Certainly. How she purposes to get to her rendezvous, though, I can't imagine. But I believe she will hardly ask my leave, and I think she will scarce venture to go without it.
Madam.
Oh. You. A pretty air, truly. Miss Emily sends her compliments to me and begs I will permit her to pay a visit to Mrs. Friendly this evening. Tell Miss I will consider of it. A visit to Mrs. Friendly. Oh, yes, yes, we understand your visits, an equivocating little flirt. This letter, you see, was then a mere work of lovers' supererogation. She may never know that it was sent, for the plan seems to be settled already between her and Madame Clack.
And do you intend to let her go?
Oh, yes. At least she shall think I do. Where is Sharpley? He's never in the way when I want his assistance.
Mr. Sharpley? What assistance do you want from him? I am certain Mr. Sharpley will give himself no trouble about her. He must be brought into every scrape.
You seem warm. What? He is a gallant of yours, I suppose.
If he be, I have as free liberty to have my gallants as other people, I suppose.
Oh, provoking hussy, but I'm in her power. Oh, to be sure, Rose, I am far from finding fault with the thing itself. Only I thought you wiser than to throw away your favours on such a beggarly fellow.
There's nothing in that, if I like him.
I'll be hanged if he ever knew who his father was, for I could never get him to tell me his real name.
What signifies his name? He is a pretty man. I am sure of that.
A pretty man, oh, is he?
Hear me, Emily. Please.
I think I hear his voice in the next room. He's talking loud. To Emily. Laughing, too. I'll step to the door and listen to what they are saying. Go you, and get things ready for me to dress. Make haste, good Rose.
So, you want to get me out of the way, do you? What new piece of roguery can she be contriving that I am not let into? Some wicked trick, I am sure. And Mr. Sharpley is her tool, her cat's paw. Now, I would give one of my 40s to know what she had to say to him. Aye, and I will too. I have followed your example many a time to keep you in countenance, but I'll make bold to practice the last you have set to me to please myself. I think I can listen with your ears.
I thought your impudence was not to be paralleled sharply, but I find your absurdity is even an overmatch for it. An idiot to suppose that Emily would marry you.
Upon my soul, I cannot help laughing at your folly as much as that little rustic's impertinence in rejecting my honourable addresses. How did she rant and pout and swell when I proposed marriage? I should have split my sides.
Ugh, why, you sot. To throw away your time upon such an idle project. Did I ever propose anything but you're getting her for a mistress, puppy? That I might have her as much in my power as I am now in hers? Was not that the plan I laid down for you and told you how to behave?
Oh, and you have really taken me for a puppet all this while that was to be moved by your pretty finger and thumb? A reasonable expectation, to be sure. And because I have hitherto been your instrument to cheat that fool Sir John, you modestly suppose I am to have no will of my own.
Why, how dare you talk thus to me? You, a will, that owe the clothes on your back, nay, the very bread you eat to my bounty. Do you remember the figure you cut when I took you up first?
A damn shabby one. What then?
With an old tattered regimental, a rusty black crape around your neck to hide the want of a stock, and a pair of greasy high-topped gloves to look as if you had a shirt.
Well, I was rather bare of linen at one point in my life, that's certain. But these premises granted, what would you infer from thence?
And have I not dressed you out like a gentleman and taken you into the house? And have you not the credit of passing for my brother?
Credit, quotha! Oh, ho, ho. Yes, that kills me quite.
Yes, credit, jackanapes. Well, greater than any of your kin ever had.
Oh,
I am a gentlewoman born.
oh yes, and bred too. Yes, we all know that.
You are a slanderous coxcomb. I was as well educated as a girl could possibly.
Yes, you were an inimitable clear starcher, that's certain, and ironed like a cherubim.
Oh, you are the most audacious,
Dear madam, you flatter.
the most daring,
Dear Mrs Etherdown, you quite overwhelm me.
the most impudent rogue.
Now, prithee, don't make one blush. Such extravagant praise, and to a friend, aye.
You pique yourself on it.
Yes, and with reason too. This is the first of these former qualities that first procured me the honour of your ladyship's acquaintance. And then the other recommended me to Sir John, since which it has been my business to flatter him and lie to him, applaud his nonsense, act the ninny behind his back and laugh at his face. So much for my roguery. And for my impudence, well, besides the use of aforesaid, 'tis that I keep you in awe, in spite of your insolence, and by that I expect to get Emily for a wife, in spite of her pride. But it was not worthwhile to squander such a precious talent on an intrigue. No, an heiress was my object, not an amour.
You are a rare projector, to be sure.
Ah.
Your impudence has defeated your own purpose and undone my hopes. What had you to recommend you as a husband to such a proud minx?
Front, which has carried many a wiser woman.
'Tis that has shocked her. Oh, had you played the humble lover, she would have thought it were her person only, not her fortune, that you aimed at. And by this time, she might have fallen into the snare, for I think a woman might like you well enough as a gallant.
I am rather tolerable, you are of opinion.
Deuce take you. You have fooled away your time to no purpose. Things are now come to an extremity. Sir John will certainly be at home tomorrow, perhaps tonight, and if Emily's mouth is not stopped, I am undone.
And I too, by my soul, for all must out together. So, in shift for yourself.
But dear Sharpley, sure you can't be so cruel as to leave me thus, standing upon the very brink of ruin. If that vixen could be got out of the way for 1 week, nay, but for 2 or 3 days, I shall by that time be above the reach of her little spiteful tongue.
Well, toss her in the Thames.
Oh,
Or suppose I were to run away with her and be hanged to do you a pleasure?
suppose I were to convince you that you hazard nothing in running away with her. Have you address and courage enough to undertake the business?
Courage, you know, is not amongst the accomplishments I value myself chiefly upon.
You will have no farther need of it than to overcome some trifling obstacles. Danger, there is none at all.
Oh, explain, Barbara Etherdown. None of thy tricks will work on me.
Emily is no heiress. Sir John has another heir.
Really?
Dare I trust you with an important secret?
If it be for my interest to keep it, I am as mute as a fish. If not, out it comes, by my soul.
Well, I must trust you.
Ooh. Well, where's the secret?
I hate that audacious, cool indifference. Prithee, be serious a minute and hear me.
Well,
I am married to Sir John. I knew you wouldn't believe it, but as I have a soul to be saved, it is true.
No, but this to me, Barbara, to me, that knows you.
I have been his wife above a 12-month. Why? Don't you think him sot enough to be drawn in?
Oh, yes, yet I am slow, wonderfully slow of faith in this article.
I took him in a fond hour and, pretending scruples of conscience, declared I would live with him no longer if he did not marry me.
And he took you at your word?
Yeah. Sooner than part with me, he at last consented, but so contrived it that to have the credit, as he called it, of passing for a keeper rather than a husband. It is impossible for me to prove our marriage, for I knew neither the parson nor the witness.
Now, if this be so, pray what difference is there between your being wife or mistress? Consequence out of the question?
You shall hear. He promised, if I brought him an heir, of which I gave him hopes before he left town, that he would own me for his wife. For the fool is not really so bad as he would fain be thought.
Well, and you have brought him one?
And therefore, I expect he will acknowledge our marriage as soon as he comes home, provided he has not tales told him.
Yeah. But if he should, by my soul, he'd rather bastardize his whole generation than bear to be laughed at as a cuckold, especially by Mr. Friendly, with whom he would fain pass for a man of great sagacity.
You see, therefore, the present necessity of getting Emily out of the way.
Get her out of the way as fast as you can.
Oh, how provoking is this now? You know I can't without your help. But sharply, if you'll assist me, I'll reward you beyond your hopes.
Open your plan of operations. Now you talk reason, I'll vouchsafe you a hearing.
Thus it is then. Emily has desired to go this evening to Mr. Friendly's on pretence of a visit, but in reality to meet a lover.
A lover? Some country booby, I suppose, that has scampered after her from Hertfordshire.
It is most likely. Friendly's chariot is to call for her at 5 o'clock. It will be then too dark to distinguish the difference, and there will be no difficulty in putting her into another chariot. And, as she doesn't know the streets, conducting her to another house where you may be ready to receive her.
The thing is not entirely impracticable, but what am I to get for undertaking this business?
Have you thought of any place to which you can convey her?
See, I'll not stir under 100, 200 pounds if one I will be paid beforehand.
You have no more conscience in you, but you shall have it. Whither do you mean to carry her?
Well, Mrs. Private, our old acquaintance. She generally has a spare room where I sometimes meditate.
Oh, the best place in the world. Don't you appear till she's in the house. Then give her into safe custody, return home, and leave it to me to charge her elopement on this lover, with the connivance of Friendly's family, which will exasperate Sir John against them and hasten the acknowledgement I want him to make.
Faith, I begin to relish the scheme. For besides the profit, it will gratify my revenge on that little coy puss for refusing me.
True, for when you have her there, you know.
No farther instructions, madam. I fancy I may be able to proceed without your help.
Oh, one word more sharply, and then I've done. I think in a few days my fool and I must separate, for this is but a temporary expedient and all must soon come to light, as the creditors too grow pressing. But before the storm comes, don't you think something might be done for me by way of settlement?
Harry.
Oh, you shall have poundage sharply.
You know how to work on my good nature.
Aye, and that you can lead Sir John with a silk thread.
Oh, well, curse him. No, he's an obstinate mule. My way is to persuade him against the thing I want to ensure the execution of.
You know his trim.
Then he does thunder out 10,000 execrations at me for a stupid loggerhead. And then I drop my arms and I dangle them this way and I stare at him. And I look mightily frightened and bless myself at hearing such oaths and stretch out my neck. I call him a sad, wicked gentleman. That always pleases him. And I'm an honest ignoramus, he says, and wonders how the devil such a fool could be taught arithmetic. And then I give a sheepish grin. I tell him, oh, he's so pleasant, he's so comical, he's so witty. There's no being angry with him. And he breaks into a horse laugh. I join in the chorus. So we get lovingly drunk together.
An admirable picture. Well, you had best set about preparing your business, but take care not to let Rose know the least tittle of the matter. Her jealousy would blow us all up.
Rose is jealous.
Oh, come. I know what terms you are upon with her. You need not deny it.
Yes, I won't deny it.
I'm only amazed how you could like such a dowdy.
Oh, well, it's anything to pass away an idle hour.
But such a vulgar creature. I thought you had a better taste.
Ah, poor devil. And she haunted me perpetually till I showed her a little pity.
Well, I'll go now and give my permission to Miss Emily to go to her rendezvous. And at the same time, I'll send Mrs. Friendly word she can't come. I'd best say to Sir John has come home, and that will keep the busybody quiet for tonight. Get you gone? We have no time to lose.
Yes, there's a small point to be adjusted first between you and me.
What's that?
I budge not a foot without it.
Come with me into my closet. I had quite forgot.
But your memory is prodigiously like a sieve. Your interest it preserves like weighty grains, but promises a chaff, ne'er retains.
Now a mischief light on you both for a couple of false, treacherous serpents as you are. Rose's jealousy will blow us up. Yes, I'll blow you up with a witness. That rogue sharply. Anything to pass away an idle hour. And that other ungrateful upstart. A dowdy, a vulgar creature. I'll fit you for your fine contrivance if I don't make you both smart for this.
What could become of Rose? Was there ever such assurance as this, to go out without saying a word to me? Is Mr. Sharpley coming yet?
No, madam.
Oh, the deuce take them both.
What the plague's the meaning of this? The house is like an inn, I think. All the doors open.
Here is Sir John as I live. Quick, quick, hide these things.
So. And what, keeping your rooms still bare? Well, and how dost do, girl?
Oh,
I thought you'd been gone abroad, for the house seems to be flung out at the windows, nobody in the way.
me? Oh, heaven help me. I abroad? I have not been able to go downstairs yet. And I'm so weak and so faint and so overpowered with joy that I can't speak. My dear Sir John.
Well, here. I'm for you again, you poor fond toad, you. And how hast done all this while? Whimpering, blubbering like a fool, I suppose, for me?
Oh, Sir John, 3 long months. I would not live 3 months again without you.
That damned gout catched me by the toe, just as I was coming home. If a man will play the devil, why, he must pay for it. So there is no more to be said. How does your bantling do?
My bantling? He's your own dear picture.
Not the better for that, you know. How does Sharpley and Emily?
And is that all you care about, the poor dear child? Your own flesh and blood? Not to desire to see him? And he's so pretty and so like yourself.
Oh, I wish he may make a better man. Oh, Lord, have mercy on your foolish sex some 20 years hence. Huh?
Aye, as you say, Sir John, if he should have your deluding ways.
Nonsense, mere stuff. Prithee, talk a little sensibly and give me some account of the family. Everything at 6s and 7s, I suppose, since I've been gone. You snivelling and moping up in your room, Sharpley drivelling and blundering on as usual, and Emily giggling and flaunting about the town.
I declare, Sir John, you know as well how it was as if you'd been at home. I'll have Miss Emily call to you, if you please. Go bid come her hither.
I don't want her. I am monstrously tired with my journey. How do Friendly's family?
Oh, la, Sir John, I never see any of them. They shun me as if I were a very rattlesnake.
Oh, Mrs. Friendly is one of your virtuous women. But I'd have her know I can make you as virtuous as herself when I please. 'Tis but owning you for Lady Woodall, and let me see who disputes your virtue.
Oh, my dear Sir John, you remember your promise and my character now. You know.
Oh, burn character. What good does character do anybody? Give me a good estate and a good constitution, and let character go to the devil as far as...
son, you know, Sir John.
Well, the thing shall be owned sometime or other, but I can't bear the thoughts of that dogmatical fellow Friendly's grinning at me. And then the cursed impertinence of his wife, too, who's always meddling in other people's affairs. When her tongue is set a-going, you may as soon stop a whirlwind. Death, I'd as lief be married to a wildcat as to such a woman.
Aye, Sir John, but they have more reasons than one for hating me. You must know, Miss Emily is mighty great at their house of late, and to tell you the truth, I believe she's carrying on an intrigue there.
What? With Friendly? Well, the old
No, not with Friendly himself.
Now, I should not wonder, though. His wife is such a chattering devil. He must be sick of her. But who is it then?
Why, with a shabby young fellow that is not worth 6pence, but he is a relation of theirs, and Mrs. Friendly's in the secret.
What? She's aboard too? I'm glad of that.
Why,
Well,
they know that in case you have no lawful issue, Emily is your heir, they think to snap her up, and are mightily afraid of your marrying me.
What the devil should put it into their heads that I'd marry at all?
I know from what he said to my brother that Mr. Friendly has a notion you will, one time or other.
Oh, curse his notions. What does he take me for? Doesn't he know that I abominate the very thoughts of matrimony?
He knows it very well, Sir John. Yet he said, many a man that hated it as much might enter into the state for convenience.
Did Friendly say so?
Oh, he did indeed. And, says he, as Mrs Etherdown has always behaved so well and is so fond of Sir John.
Did he? Did Friendly say so?
I'm telling you his words. And she is such a careful, prudent woman and knows her duty so well.
Ah, poor Friendly, poor Friendly. There the shoe pinches. He thought of his own wife there.
That I should not be surprised, says he, if Sir John were to marry her.
Friendly said so.
His wife was present, and she, forsooth, must put in her word and said there would be a base thing and a wicked thing in Sir John. And Mr. Friendly took her up short and said all the world knew Sir John did not much value doing a wicked thing, but...
Oh, he knows me. He knows me well.
But, says he, I'll give you leave to hang him if you catch him doing a silly thing.
He's no fool. Friendly is no fool, and he knows me well.
Madam, Miss Emily has gone out.
Gone out? Where?
I've been inquiring for her, madam, and one of the men says she went out in a chariot a little while ago.
Oh, Sir John. Sir John, I am afraid that young girl is a hypocrite, Sir John.
By my soul, she can't be a better thing. For if I find her out, I'll so claw her, she'll wish...
I did not think to have showed it to you, Sir John, but I can keep nothing from you. Look at this letter that Miss Emily dropped today.
Oh, here we are. Mr. Friendly's chariot will call for you. One of the 1,000 tender things. By the mass, the girl takes after me. Now, she has spirit and loves intrigue. I wish she don't come upon the town, though.
No, Sir John. Mr. Friendly's people have other designs. Oh, pretty friends they are indeed, to profess such a regard for you and spirit your niece up to rebellion and then entice her away just when you were expected home too, to marry her, I'll lay my life, to their beggarly relation. But they think they can laugh you out of your resentment.
Laugh? Death, let me catch anyone daring to laugh at me. Laugh? How darest you say such a thing? How darest you think of such a thing?
Oh, dear Sir John, I think of no such thing. But I know Mr. Friendly's jibing way, and if he can but rail at me and set you against me, he'll expect to enjoy his fine plot in triumph.
Curse them and their plots too. I'll show them I can outplot them with a vengeance, if the thing is as you suspect.
Oh, it is but too sure, Sir John.
Then I'll convince Friendly at once that he's a blockhead. For I'll tell him I am married and have a son to inherit my estate. And then, pray, what becomes of his plot?
Aye, there will be a thunderclap indeed, as you say, Sir John.
I wanted something to provoke me to it. And if it had not been for this scurvy dog's trick of Friendly's, I don't think I should have owned you. Not while I lived, by my soul.
Oh, they'll deny it, as sure as I live, Sir John, and fancy they can impose on you.
Oh, yes, I'm a likely fellow to be imposed on. I have lived till this time of day to be gulled, to be sure.
A probable story, as you say, indeed, Sir John.
I have thought of a way to mortify Friendly horribly. I'll go to him tomorrow, and as if I did not suspect him to have any hand in this affair, I'll pretend to consult him about marrying.
Aye, and then he'll begin to slander me.
And he'll come with his advice and his objections and his arguments against it. And when I get him to that point, I'll come slap upon him with owning my marriage.
Oh, you have such a contriving brain, Sir John.
Then I'll laugh in his face and leave him to consider who plots best, he or I.
And such a malicious wit.
How I enjoy the thought of plaguing the surly cur. He'll be ready to hang himself. Come, I don't care if I do take a peep at this same brat of ours.
I fancy he's asleep, but you may look at him. Oh, he's a little angel.
I'm delighted to think of Friendly.
My dear Sir John.
There was never anything so vexatious. When my impatience, my wishes, and my hopes were all at the utmost stretch, to be disappointed thus. That unreasonable coxcomb to come home at such a juncture.
Well, I'll allow you it is a little malapropos. I'm glad, however, that he is come. And if we can but obtain his consent to your marrying Emily...
Emily has not answered my letter neither. Not to afford me a line. Nothing but a cold excuse by word of mouth. It's very strange.
Oh, there's nothing strange in it, but you lovers are just such restless beings.
I have loved her almost from my childhood, Friendly. I had a good mother's approbation. I think she loves me too. Yet?
What now? Oh, you have a suspicion in your temper, Wellford, that will never suffer you to be happy.
Why, to tell you the truth, Mrs. Friendly has alarmed me exceedingly with something she has told me.
Oh, my poor wife, that tongue of hers can never lie still. 'Tis her only fault, but I never expect her to cure her of it, as she fancies herself the most silent woman in England. She has told you, I suppose, of Sharpley's addresses.
A scoundrel. I'll cut his throat.
Oh, buns, there it goes off. For shame, man. Don't be so impetuous. You can't suspect Emily of favouring such a fellow, a mean hanger-on in Sir John's family.
But your wife says he's a handsome rascal, and of so plausible a tongue.
Oh, that's so like her. Fie, don't think of him.
I am ashamed of it, I own. Yet passionately as I love Emily, 'tis impossible my heart should be at ease while she continues in that vile house.
Oh, well, have patience.
Patience! Friendly, I believe you never knew what it was to love.
I never was so amazed and astonished.
I wish Mrs. Friendly were to hear you say so.
What was he saying, my dear?
Oh, only that I was never in love. But what has thrown you into all this astonishment?
Something about Emily. But pray, Captain, let me ask you what you mean by such an assertion.
Oh, madam, I was only bantering Mr. Friendly. For heaven's sake, what of Emily?
I don't pretend to be as young nor as handsome as Miss Emily, but I have been young, and perhaps Mr. Friendly thought me handsome too. Yes, and for you to go and assert such a thing so roundly, Mr. Wellford, till you explain your reasons, I shall keep my mind to myself, I assure you, sir.
Oh, now that, I am sure, is impossible, my dear wife.
Perhaps, Mr. Friendly, you will find yourself mistaken, and that I am not so fond of communicating my thoughts, but that I can be silent, and not drop the smallest hint that a person has behaved in an extraordinary and unexpected manner.
What? Has Emily done this?
I named no name, Mr. Friendly.
Dear madam, don't keep us in suspense, I beseech you. Tell us what you mean.
If you'll answer my question, sir, then I'll answer yours. If not, I'll let you see I can hold my tongue. But for you to make so strange a declaration and not to give reason for it, I swear and I protest that it's...
Yes, that's her way of holding her tongue. Why, I tell you, my dear, there's nothing in what he said. If you'll not believe me, I can't help it. Oh, let her alone, Mr. Wellford. We shall have it all out presently. She would sooner talk to herself than keep it in. Make yourself easy, man. You may be sure you will see Emily tomorrow.
Oh, yes, a likely story. Heaven knows what is to become of Emily.
Madam!
Oh, don't mind her.
How young creatures can act so unaccountably that have been educated with so much care.
Dear madam, explain yourself.
I was not saying anything, sir. Such a contrivance. Well, it's as well if it is not with her own consent, after all.
For goodness sake, madam, speak out.
You see, sir, I can be as dumb as other folks when I please. That is clear.
There seems to be more in this than I apprehended. Prithee, my dear, now, don't be in a tiff about nothing. The whole of the business that you resent so much was no more than this. I was laughing at Wellford's impatience, and he said if I knew what it was to be in love, I wouldn't make a jest of it.
Why could you not said so at first, instead of running on a rigmarole? I was afraid, indeed, that he had observed something that might induce him to think...
No, not in the least, good madam. Tell me now, what do you know of Emily?
Oh, well, if that was all, well then, why, I will tell you. You know you expected to see Emily here this evening.
I know it.
And you know she sent word that she could not come because Sir John...
Yes, I know, I'm disappointed. Go on, madam.
Yes, 'tis a disappointment to be sure, as it's so long since you've seen her. 14 months, I believe. It was in September that you went to Germany, wasn't it?
Is it what's all this to the purpose? Proceed.
Mr. Friendly, I wish you would not use that phrase so often. I never speak, but you come out with what's all this to the purpose.
Yes, well, my dear, go on.
Well, I was sitting at work in the parlour just now, and to tell you the truth, I was thinking of you and Emily. Oh, what joy will it be, thought I, when you...
Prithee, don't tell us your thoughts, my dear, but say what has happened.
Oh, well, no matter what my thoughts were, though perhaps they might be worth knowing too. But who should come in a violent hurry but Rose, Mrs Etherdown's maid? Lord, madam, says she, do you know anything of Miss Emily? Laying down my spectacles, for sure, you know, I can't work without them. Not I, indeed, says I. Then, to be sure, says she is gone off with Mr Sharpley, and will be undone if he gets...
Heavens! Madam, how could you delay telling us so long? Friendly, what do you think to my suspicions now?
Oh, where is the woman? Is she in the house?
Aye, to be sure. She's below stairs. I did not stay to ask her any more questions, but ran up directly to tell you what she said.
Yes, and you have made a wonderful haste to tell it with your confounded roundabouts. I'll bring the maid up and let her speak for herself.
Why, this is one of the most strange, incomprehensible affairs that ever was, Mr. Wellford. I am quite at my wit's end to unriddle it. Emily sends word she can't come because Sir John is arrived. I thought that might actually be true, but then again, it can't be true because she is actually gone out. And then again, that Sharpley has had so many opportunities, and he is a very personable man, I can tell you. And young creatures are so giddy nowadays. It was not so when I was a young girl. It was not a handsome face nor a smooth tongue that could win me.
Madam, You need not aggravate matters. My own apprehensions have already made me but too miserable.
Yes. Come. Repeat what you have said to me before this gentleman. He is most concerned to know it.
Sir, I am sure Mr. Sharpley has carried Miss Emily away. I overheard my mistress and him talking about it. I would have warned Miss Emily herself, but she is so proud and so scornful, she won't suffer me even to speak to her.
Why did you not come to me directly?
Oh, my mistress kept me so employed, sir, I could not for my life get away.
Do you know where they are gone?
Yes, sir. I can bring you to the house.
Come, Wellford, we have no time to lose.
No, Friendly, I'll not stir. Let her enjoy her infamy. I have done with her forever.
Gracious, what do you mean, Captain?
Are you out of your senses, man? Don't you hear? It's a plot, a wicked contrivance of Sharpley's.
Friendly, I hardly know what I say. Come with me, and if I find that villain is dead, to even lay a hand on her.
You would not offer to kill him?
Lead me directly to the house, or I will hold you responsible.
I'll go down on my knees, sir, not to hurt him.
What, then? Jealousy, it seems, has urged you to tell this?
A fine motive. I was wondering indeed what the motive.
Tell me where they are, or by all that's gracious, I will beat you.
I'll answer for it. There shall be no harm done. Bring us to the house.
Well, sir, I'll depend on you.
Be gone then, and lead the way.
My dear, you'll bring Emily home with you if you find her. I'll order a chamber to be got ready for her.
Certainly.
To be sure, it is one of the most perplexed, unaccountable affairs that ever was in the world. And I am more surprised than anything.
Right, my dear Emily. Now, prithee hear me, child.
Hear you? What can you say in defence of so much treachery?
I'll tell you, if I were guilty of treason, of perjury, robbery, and so forth, all these things, would I justify to heir a woman in England by those 3 monosyllables? I love you.
Do you think this act of violence won't make me hate you more than I ever did?
No.
No.
No, I say N-O. I never knew a man hated for an act of violence of this kind in my life. And besides, as I take it, I'm not altogether an object of aversion.
You are too modest, sir.
Well, middling as to that, but it is a fault, though, as you observe. And then it's easily mended. My dear, for example, now?
Intolerable impudence.
Why, what the deuce are you about? I wish you knew your own mind just now. I'm too modest now. I'm too impudent. I would fain please you if I knew how.
Audacious man.
Oh, come. I know you don't dislike me. At the bottom of your heart, you think me saucy, but agreeable. A devilishly agreeable fellow. You little rogue. There's an arch smile of assent under that angry brow. Makes you look so enchanting.
My contempt for you is so great, it has banished even my fears of you.
Oh, fears? Lord, My precious, you have nothing to fear. I'll be as constant as a dove, and never tell a word of the matter to mortal. I scorn to blab.
Most abandoned.
Oh, come, don't be peevish. You can't imagine how much prettier you are when you smile. Besides, child, you may consider that I am at present lord and master of thy destiny. And if you provoke me, well, who knows what may follow.
Wretch, how dare you talk thus?
Ugh.
Alone and helpless as I am, I feel myself so superior to you that I as much despise your threats as if I were this minute armed with the power to crush you for them.
Why, to tell the truth, I'd rather owe my happiness to your voluntary kindness. For mutual love, you must know, miss, is the prettiest thing in the universe. And when uncompelled by duty, the source of 10,000 pleasures that lovers only know and wives and husbands never dream of. By my soul, I believe you are right not to marry me. Think of the delightful billet doux, the transports of meeting, and even in absence, the millions of little sweet, charming anxieties. And then when we happen to meet in public, I unexpectedly perhaps strike your eyes, and you with a beautiful consciousness withdraw them and throw them round the company, and to your face in a fine glow all the while. Probably you see the women coquettishly trying to engage my attention. I say you may ogle if you wish, but he's all mine.
Detestable monster.
Oh, you adorable creature. Come. How? But in tears. Would I were that lover whom you would have met this evening. Then my visionary scene would have been realized.
Do you then know whom I was to have met?
Alas, not I.
Know then that it is one who will make you dearly repent of this outrage, though you fled to the remotest part of the earth.
Oh, lord, oh, lord. Well, prithee, who is this mighty giant?
Do you know Captain Wellford?
Captain Wellford. His death. Is he the man?
Yes, wretch, and assure yourself he will call you to a severe account for this.
Now, do you fancy I've been serious all this while? My lord, madam, Wellford and I are as intimate as two brothers. I had only a mind to startle you a little, but to convince you I had not the least designs to injure you. I will immediately restore you to your lover.
Is this possible? Can I believe you speak seriously?
As seriously as if I never were to speak more. Captain Wellford is the man in the world I should wish to oblige, and should be proud to deliver you safe to him. I'll conduct you directly to Mr. Friendly's.
Then let me go instantly.
Sir, come this way.
Oh, bless me, what's that noise? I wish I were out of this house. If you deceive me again.
Let me through.
By this hand? I will not. We shall find chairs at the door. I'll lead you to one.
You may depend on all grateful returns I can make.
Emily!
Ah, Wellford! Is your greeting, sir? This can't be Wellford.
Yes, it is he, who came to deliver you from hither from the hands of a vile ravisher. But I see I wrong him by that epithet, and might have spared myself the trouble. Light, ungrateful creature!
Injurious man!
What, is it you, Randall? Thou despicable wretch! How I blush for the woman who could thus debase herself.
Captain, one word with you in private.
Impudent ruffian, stand off. Look at this sword. It once preserved your coward life. It came now prepared to revenge mine own and this lady's wrongs. But I see the causes beneath it. So I'll leave you to your fortunes.
What Sir, it seems that you don't value your neck that you have ventured thus.
You are a reasonable man, sir, and I'll talk with you if you'll give me the opportunity.
Hold your tongue, rascal. You shall give an account of yourself in another place.
Rose, thou unlucky devil. Miss Emily, pray, speak for me. Wasn't I not going to carry you to Mr. Wellford's, Mr. Friendly's house?
He said you would, sir. I must do him that justice.
A mere pretense in order to decoy you, perhaps to a more convenient place.
Let me perish if I did not mean to bring her safe to you. I was compelled to take these steps I have done, but I no sooner heard Captain Wellford than gratitude as well as honour.
Gratitude and honour? How dare such a fellow as thou art pretend to either? Say rather your fears, if there be any truth in you.
Call it what you will, sir. But if you stand, my friend, I have something to tell you, perhaps.
This is no place to talk with you. You shall come along with me, sir, and you too, Mistress Rose, for I am determined to sift this black affair to the bottom. Madam, Emily, I ordered my chariot to follow me, which should carry you to my house. For these gentry, I shall take care to convey them thither myself.
Sir, I'm ready to attend you anywhere.
And for me, Mr. Friendly, I am now indifferent whither I go.
Come, madam, all I hope will be cleared up.
Oh, thou villain.
Oh, it's just...
Well, but child, now that the captain is convinced that his suspicions were foolish and groundless and idle and ridiculous and everything, you ought to forgive him, and make up your quarrel.
Oh, madam, what I have declared was but injustice to my own character. For the rest, I am little solicitous to satisfy a man capable first of suspecting and then of accusing me, as he has done.
Oh, very true, my dear. Capable of suspecting and accusing. But jealousy, you know, is of all things...
Blind and infatuated.
To think I could favour such a mean impostor, a cheat even to his very name.
I, a paltry subaltern fellow that was broke for cowardice after the captain, as he tells me, had saved him from being killed by another officer.
I acknowledge my fault with all its aggravations. Yet I thought my penitence, my grief for having so justly provoked this lady's resentment, might have atoned for an offence which nothing but the strongest of love could have occasioned.
I can't think what sharply thought to kill.
For heaven's sake, madam, don't name a wretch any more that has occasioned so much mischief.
Bless me, Captain. Don't be so sudden. I declare you startle one in a manner. I say, I wonder what can keep Sharpley and Rose so long with Mr. Friendly. They've been locked up now almost, well, nearly an hour or so.
You'll know soon, madam. Here is Mr. Friendly.
Oh, Lord. Mr. Friendly, what have you been about all this while? Why have you been cooped up so long with Rose?
Sharpley has told me something that has surprised me exceedingly.
Aye? Well, what can it be? Oh, but first, tell me, were the candles lit in the drawing room as you came by? For I expect company.
Well, I don't know.
What has he told you?
Why, nothing less than that Sir John...
Anybody's question will be answered before mine.
I wish your drawing room and your patient company where Sir John is married.
Married?
To whom? In the name of wonder.
Now, don't tell him, Mr. Friendly, but let me guess. You know I have an excellent guess.
No, prithee, my dear, give me leave. Why, to that mischief of a compound of mischief and wickedness, Mrs Etherdown.
You amaze me.
It does not amaze me in the least. I knew it would come to that as well. I mean, if it could resist that terrible woman.
Sure, sir. This must be an invention of Sharpley's.
Don't you remember, my dear? I told you about a month ago when you and I were talking of Sir John. Don't you remember I said,
I remember the prophecy.
Well, now you see, just the same way I foretold Mr. Testy's marriage with the widow and Mrs. Lofty's with that terrible...
For heaven's sake, good wife, give others leave to speak as well as yourself.
Pray, Captain, do I hinder him? I declare one would imagine that
Dear madam, let me ask Mr. Friendly a question or two.
There now, again, as if I stopped you. Would not one think that I kept all the discourse to myself? And now, pray, Mr. Wellford, all the while we were at piquet after dinner, did I say a syllable but what was absolutely necessary? Except one or two times that I asked you what you were thinking of, and you said of your cards, and I said...
There's no bearing this come to my study, Wellford. Her tongue's wound up for an hour, and she must let it run down.
Ladies are come, madam.
I'll wait on them. A fine character I should get indeed if people were to take Mr. Friendly's word.
How long does that fellow say Sir John has been married?
Above a year, he tells me, and if it be true, the son he has by Mrs. Etherdown is legitimate, and Emily's hopes are cut off at once.
I'm glad of it.
How, sir? That I'm not worth a shilling?
No, madam, but that I can now convince all the world that I love you for your own sake only. You, I hope, wanted no such proof of the sincerity of my affection. Oh, Friendly! I have offended, too justly provoked my Emily's resentment. Persuade her to forgive my fault and let me call her mine.
What say you, madam? This generosity deserves a kind return, and if Sir John consents...
Oh, hold, sir. I own I have pride, perhaps too much, and I cannot bear to lay myself under obligations where I once hoped to have the power of conferring them.
But madam...
Excuse me, Mr. Friendly. Let me only beg the protection of your roof till my uncle's return. I dare say when he hears how cruelly I have been treated, he will provide for me somewhere. Perhaps I may trouble you but for a night or two.
And whither will you then go? By heaven, you shall not be at the mercy of those abandoned wretches while I have the life or power to succour you. Oh, Emily, this is not the return I expected from your tenderness. To whom ought you to fly for shelter but to the man who loves you with such an honest and disinterested passion as I do?
No, Wellford, no. You ought to know me better. The woman whom you have debased by your mean suspicions will not on such terms condescend to be your wife.
A noble girl, by my soul. 'Twere pity you should lose her.
Lose her? I'd lose my life as soon. Dear Friendly, if you would preserve that, then do you and your wife use all your influence on her. That pride, too, which would deform another woman, makes her still more beautiful. What is fortune in comparison with such a mind?
All this is very fine, I grant you, but the loss of a good estate is a damned bolt notwithstanding, Wellford.
And by all that is good, Friendly, I despise it. Let me possessed by Emily, and
Yes,
I will
you
be
live
the
in a cottage on love, determined like a true Arcadian swain. But it won't do in this part of the world, let me tell you, boy. Oh, but to be serious, what Sharpley has told me he has no other authority for than Mrs Etherdown's own word. Though he adds that Sir John, on account of his child's birth, means directly to own his marriage. However, I'll suspend my belief till I'm better informed.
But have you let Sharpley escape? I'd quite forgot to ask after him.
Oh, I have made him my own. I got him to draw up in writing a full account of Mrs Etherdown's scheme concerted with him against Emily, together with some other curious anecdotes to which Rose and he are privy, which notable confession I have made them both sign.
And what do you purpose to make of it? 'Tis of little consequence now, methinks, to separate Sir John and his precious bargain.
I have a design in my head to bring that worthless puppy, if possible, to a sense of his folly. I cannot now explain the whole of my plan to you, for I mean to go immediately to Sir John's, who they tell me is expected home every minute. But Emily shall not know this, as I wish for your sake to detain her a while.
I have little hopes, for I know the firmness of her temper.
Come, courage, man. You know you have a friend within. I'll venture to bring her to you.
Do what you will with me.
And all those things you said about me.
I've done with you, wench. With your silly reproaches. Emily will be kind to you, although in regard to your motive, she's but little obliged to you for a fancied deliverance.
Fancied?
Yes, fancied. You mischievous baggage. Why, to what end do you imagine I ran away with that girl?
To what end, traitor? Why did you carry her to that house? Answer me that, varlet.
Thou art a poor, shallow-pated gypsy. You're very unfit to share the counsels of the wise, but for once, I'll inform you. I meant first to be well paid for my trouble, and then to discover the whole secret, that trifling circumstance accepted, to friendly, and fairly to deliver Emily into his hands, making a merit of my own great integrity, and lastly, and I meant that I own that I did, to rumple the baggage a little, and partly out of spite, and to show my power, which would have enhanced the worth of her deliverance.
And you did so, I warrant, Mr. Impudence.
Why, no, Faith, I don't know how that happened. These honest girls have a damned impertinent way of keeping a man in awe. Besides, when I heard that hot-headed fellow Wellford was a lover, well, I confess it did damp my courage a little. But no matter, your cursed intermeddling has undone my whole plan. What would have seemed like an act of virtue seems now merely the result of fear.
And how was I to know all this? I am sure, only I thought you were going to leave me. I had as soon have been burnt.
Yes, well, I'm not now at leisure to hear your excuses. I suppose Sir John has sworn 1,000 oaths by this time at my being out of the way. Oh, it is well you've not been missed too.
If I should, I have an excuse ready.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Sharpley, shall we be friends again?
Not now, you puppy. You take up too much time. Hereafter, perhaps I may take you into favour, but get you to me your mistress. I must change my clothes and then go to Sir John.
Marry, hang you. I believe that will be your fate.
Well, I'm so tired, I can hardly keep myself awake. No news of this blockhead Sharpley yet? Come, why don't you take your glass?
Oh, la, Sir John, you know I hate it of all things.
What then, you abstemious jackanapes? One glass to welcome me home? It won't poison you, will it?
As you say, Sir John, I can't refuse that, though it should poison me.
Take off your glass, I say.
I vow, I can't touch any more, Sir John. It gives one such a flushing in one's face when one isn't used to it.
This comes of you drinking water, Nothing but water will go down, forsooth. Why, it's enough to kill you, you fool. Oh, I'm as sleepy as if I'd taken opium. Oh.
What? What? Is he fast?
What has kept you so long?
Is the other 100 ready? Yes. We are secure, I warrant you.
Secure? What are you secure of? Sharpley! It's you. Shake hands, you. Well, come on.
Sir John, did you pretend to be asleep? You're so full of tricks.
Where have you been all the while? What the devil's your blundering head been about now?
I've been and done every tenant you have in London from top to bottom this fine day. And if I can get across from them, I wish I may never be worth one. I've been out since morning, my sister there can tell.
Oh, it is true indeed, Sir John.
What were you saying about being secure?
Yes, we are secure enough for that matter. I was saying I had got security from that scurvy fellow there that owes you £100. He that keeps the Great Inn in that, what do you call them?
In Holborn.
Oh,
aye, that's a sad dog. A sad dog. Must turn him out. But you are such a poor, soft, easy, quiet mongrel. Let them but warm your heart with a bowl of punch and make a poor mouth and call you your honour. They may keep you out of my rent till doomsday.
Aye, as you say, Sir John, he little knows the world.
I'll turn you off by my soul, Sharpley, if you don't learn to know the world.
You don't, I strive, ask my sister else.
Strive? Poor devil. You do your best, I believe. Come, I'm glad you come in. I can't drink by myself, and Madam here won't touch a drop. Sit down there. Oh, did you know that Emily has run away?
What, Miss Emily? What? Oh, Miss Emily.
Aye, our Miss Emily, sir. How Sharpley gapes at the news.
No wonder, Sir John.
Oh, it's only one of your jokes, maybe, Sir John. You are such a joker, but I don't believe everything you say for all that.
Oh, it's too true, as Sir John says.
I have found out the whole plot, though, you must know. And tomorrow I intend so to work friendly about it.
Mr. Friendly? Well, I, to be sure, he's a knowing man and can give fine advice when a body's in trouble.
Confound your loggerhead. Do you think I want advice or would take advice? And from him? Why, he is the whole contriver of the thing, man.
Who? Mr. Friendly, sir?
Yes, Mr. Friendly, as Sir John says.
Oh, Lord, I'd never thought of that.
You never have thought? Why, you numbskull, how the plague should you think that mind nothing but dunning of tenants and then excusing them their rent? A good joke, your faith.
Oh, that's true indeed, Sir John. He knows nothing but the keeping his own books.
It's a miracle to me he can even do that. Take him out of his figures, and my coach dog has more sagacity.
Yeah, well, I would not give my figures for all your wit. Now, Sir John, there's for you.
True. There you're right sharply. Every man has his talent.
Mr. Friendly's come to wait on you, sir.
What the plague can Friendly want with me now?
Oh, to try how the land lies, I suppose.
Well, he'll find himself cursedly bit. I think I'm a match for Friendly. Give me but a clue and let me alone to unwind a piece of knavery. Get you both in the next room. Desire Mr. Friendly to walk in?
Oh, I would not stand in Mr. Friendly's shoes. No, by the sun and moon, for all the money in his pocket. You'll work him, Sir John?
Aye, Sir John. Now's your time.
Yes, yes. I think I'm a match for Friendly. Your servant, sir.
How do you do, Sir John? I heard by accident you were arrived and just called in as I passed by.
Oh, I thank you, sir.
You seem out of humour, Sir John.
Perhaps I really am so, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry you have had any occasion, but you need not to show it to your friends. Prithee, what has ruffled you so?
Nothing worth ruffling my temper, or any man's temper. Women will be women.
Something about Mrs Etherdown, I suppose.
No, sir, it is not. You are always supposing in the wrong place. There's my niece.
What of her?
Run away, that's all.
Well, run away? Impossible. With whom?
How the devil should I know? With a man, I suppose.
Oh, it can't be. When did she go? Have you sent to inquire after her?
Jones, what a catechizing is here. I don't know when she went, nor where to look for her.
I presume she'll come back again?
Aye. When she's ready for the Magdalen house, I suppose she may.
Oh, fie, Sir John. How can you talk with so much levity of so good a girl? So near a relation?
Pretty Friendly, none of your sanctified airs. A good girl and a near relation. I warrant you'd have me be mighty anxious about her virtue now, and try to recover her, for fear she should be ruined, as you call it. Not I, by the mass. If the wench has a mind to take her fling, e'en let her for me.
But have you no regard for her?
The honour of my family, I hope you're going to say? Yes, well, I'll tell you how far I regard it, as I should not choose to have my estate squandered away upon beggarly rascals with handsome faces, the use to which I suppose my hopeful niece would apply it. This frolic of hers has determined me.
To what?
To what goes plaguily against my stomach, but necessity sometimes drives the bargain.
What do you mean?
I'd as lieve be a slave in the galleys, but since the young hussy has provoked me to it, I am resolved.
On what, prithee?
To marry, sir, if you must know.
The deuce you will. You'd as soon hang yourself.
Aye, that's true. I do hate the thoughts of it most consumedly. You know I do. But when a man's ill-used in his own family, and to tell you the truth, Friendly, I don't find myself so young as I was some years ago.
No, that's strange.
And faith, I begin to think it's time to settle and live a little honestly. A man can't hold out always to drive such a career. I have been a sad dog, and that's the truth of it.
Oh, you intend to mend, then?
No, hang it, I don't say that neither. I don't know whether I can mend or not. You know, what's bred in the bone, you know, the old leaven, I'm afraid. But, a man may try. Come, Friendly, let me have a little of thy advice. I have a mind to marry, as I told you. What sort of a woman now do you think would suit me?
Why, if you are actually resolved...
Peremptorily.
Well, in the first place, then, I would not have you marry one that's over young.
Right. Not a giddy girl, Perhaps 30 at least.
In the next place, one whom you think doesn't marry you merely for your sake of your fortune, but a woman who can have some regard for your person.
Ah, good. Bab again, she adores me.
One of a mild and gentle temper who can bear with all your odd humours.
Excellent. Still, Bab.
One who would be prudent with the management of your family and not given to expensive pleasures.
Oraculous. Bab's the very thing. Well, and what more?
Yeah, I think that's enough. You need not desire money.
Give me your hand. Bab to a tittle, she's not worth a groat. Egad, friendly, you'll never talk so sensibly in your life. And now, who do you think answers this description in every point?
Nay, I can't tell. I suppose there are women enough to be found who do.
Suppose I were to name one. What do you think of Bab?
Mrs Etherdown? Marry Mrs Etherdown?
What? You don't approve of him?
I do not indeed, Sir John.
I thought so. But why not? I always intended to marry her when I grew weary of her.
That's a strange paradox.
Not at all. For maybe in a cross fit I might turn her off, and then I know I should repent it. I'm so used to her little coaxing ways.
Why do you not know the consequence of marrying a kept mistress?
What? If I keep her myself, man?
That makes very little difference, Sir John.
No? Now it begins to work.
No, believe me, a woman who has been used to consider a man as a kind of property of whom she's to make the most while his inclination to her lasts will not easily be brought to think that there is but one common interest between them as man and wife.
Gosh, as she won't.
No, nor can she who has been accustomed to caresses and flattery and stuff. As a mistress, descend to the meek, the tender, the complying duties of a wife.
Indeed. How I'll surprise him just now. Why, Bab has always been the most obliging, submissive creature in the world to me.
She finds it in her interest to be so. But if once she were sure of you, she'd change her note.
Oh, you don't tell me so. How he'll stare presently.
Oh, take my word for it, Sir John. If you were to marry that woman, you'd repent it before a week were at an end.
Poor friendly, thou art, generally speaking, damnably out of thy judgment, but were never more so in thy life than now. For you must know, oh, excuse me laughing at you, but you must know I have been married to her above 52 weeks and have never repented of it yet.
Enjoy your laugh, but that joke won't take.
Oh, the devil! What, because I'm a facetious puppy? And now and then a little sarcastical? Do you think I'm never serious?
I understand you, Sir John. You want to trick your niece out of her inheritance, and Mrs Etherdown and you have entered into a confederacy to say you were married.
Ah, you begin to feel.
Who do you think would take your word?
I'm an unlucky dog, point of character, that I own. But I can prove this, honest friendly.
I defy you.
Ah, does it sting? can name the parson and the witness.
You may name a parson that has been transported, or a witness maybe that has been hanged.
What do you think of my little toping curate of Woodall Green? Is he transported? And our old friend in equity, Tom Shifter, is he hanged?
Were they your operators?
Ask them. Who's the fool now, friendly?
'Tis even so. Oh, well, peace be with you.
Poor devil, how he's mortified. Oh, don't go, man.
What am I to stay for?
I want a little more of your advice.
Confound you!
Oh, I wish you joy of your errors, friendly. A turbulent booby. I'll go and tell Bab, though. Oh, you there? Come in. He's gone. Egad, I've given it to him.
Oh, I could hear you, Sir John, laughing at him as he went out.
But the best joke of all is he pretends not to believe what I've told him.
And here's this wiseacre doesn't believe it neither.
No, nor won't unless Sir John says it. Aye, and swears to it too. That's more, for all you think me so easy.
And why not sharply? Come, let's have your wise reason.
Well, Sir John, now mind me. Only mind what I am going to say.
Observe his important face now for a weighty sentence of sound argument.
Sir
How
John,
put it sharply, come on.
I have known you early and late, and though I am one that don't very well comprehend, though I'm not very capable, I can't very well express.
Oh, sharply, eh?
There it is now. Yeah, you always dash one in the middle of an argument, and because you have more learning, you can talk like a satyr. A body must not speak plain sense to you.
Call it a satirist the next time, sharply.
Well, you may call it what you please, sir, but truth is truth, reason is reason, and so I don't believe a word of the matter.
Fact, though, for all that, sharply.
But my sister, Lady Woodall. Oh,
the dog's proud of it, you see.
Oh, my dear Sir John, you are so good.
Oh, yes, good. By all the flesh in my back, I would not be such a sinner. No, not for all his land. Take that now, Sir John. You find I can be smart when I please.
Scurrilous varlet. But you are right, Sharpie. I have done such things in my time. Did I ever show you my list? No, I believe not. Hang it, I never loved boasting. Never loved that at all. There were not above 9 of them that I did not turn off the next day, though, you know.
But 9? I don't know what 9 you mean.
Only of the girls I've had. Well, none of them behaved like my old girl.
Well, she's a sensible woman, to be sure, for all she's my sister.
No, Sharpie, no. Not much of that, neither. But she is docile, a teachable wench enough. And with a little of my training, we do pretty well, ain't it so, Beth?
Oh, aye, as you say, Sir John.
Come, now here's your health.
Yeah.
I can't but think, you know, of that booby Friendly, how he must be called, and his meddling fool of a wife. I wish she would cuckold him, that I may laugh at him about her virtue. Here's to his health. I've known him for these, 20 years?
I would speak with you, madam.
Where now, Beth?
Oh, only to give some orders to Rose, Sir John.
Yeah.
Well, marriage.
Faith, Sharply, I begin to think it's high time to wipe up the score.
And my sister, Lady Woodall.
Oh, confound you. You leave off your exclamations and put the bottle about.
And all unknown to me.
The dog's beginning to get drunk, and I shall be overwhelmed with a deluge of folly and impertinence.
Yeah, well, and I warrant you've settled the Lord knows what upon her.
And what's that to you, sir?
Look, Sir John, now, mind what I am going to say. You know, I'm very apt to give a little good advice now and then. And though you rail at me, well, I can't for the blood of me keep it. Now, I would not have settled sixpence on her, were I you, for all she's my sister. I'd know how to manage a wife, I warrant. I'm sharp enough in some things. She's as proud as Lucifer, though she's my sister.
That's a lie. If she has anything good, 'tis her humility and meekness, buzzard.
She's an extravagant woman, how I say it.
Another lie. If she has any virtue, 'tis her good economy. I trust her with all I'm worth.
Well, by the sun that shines, then, so would not I. No, not e'er a woman that e'er well ahead. I've a little judgment too.
Judgment? You judgment?
Sir John, listen to me now. Let me advise you.
By my soul, I'll break your head if you begin to advise sharply.
Well, by this good day, I was never in such a humour for giving good advice in my life.
You were ever so when you are drunk, you dog, though you can't speak a sentence of common sense when you are sober.
Well, then 'tis my duty never to be sober. But I find myself at this minute as wise as any oracle that was ever born. And therefore my advice is pro and con. No settlement. Mark what the oracle says.
I do.
Ah.
And to show what prodigious influence your sage counsel has on me, I intend.
Oh, you see, I knew you'd come about.
Though I never thought of doing it before, I shall settle 100 a year upon her for all she's your sister.
Why, after all the arguments against it? Well, by this hand of mine, then, I'll have nothing to say to it. Mr. Friendly would no more do such a thing than he'd eat fire. Sir John, I say £30 a year. Yes, observe me now. And that only during pleasure, do you mind?
200 a year, by the Lord. And that's settled irrevocably, since you provoked me to it.
Well, mercy upon me. Well, don't be too hasty now, Sir John, in this affair, but think a few days and you consult.
Burn you! Whom should I consult?
What, Mr. No, not Mr. Friendly, I don't mean him. But argue and think and reason with yourself.
You know, I always take your advice, and therefore it shall be done directly.
What? Not tonight, Sir John? You are not bewitched, sure?
Depart in a whole skin and take a walk to Mr. Bustle's. You'll find him in his chambers at this hour.
What? Won't next week do as well, Sir John?
Utter one word more, and I'll break every bone in your body. The thing shall be done now, immediately, this identical night, and I'll surprise my Lady Woodall with it tomorrow. I'll write a letter to the lawyer, and you shall carry it to show of what importance you are. So, come to me in half an hour. In the meanwhile, go and sleep yourself sober, most oraculous sharply.
How incorrigible coxcomb. Empty, vain, bragging sot, whose greatest boast is the being a rascal, whereas your greatest vice is being a fool.
I wish Mr. Friendly were returned, though I expect nothing but confirmation of Sir John's marriage. But anything's better than suspense.
Oh, I declare and vow, Captain, I am as restless and as unsettled and as perturbed as I may say on poor Emily's account. Oh. But Mr. Friendly will come at the truth. Depend upon it, he will. I remember such an affair once. It was the most dark, intricate business, and so tedious. I'll tell you the whole story. You must know, it was when I
Oh,
was
thank
a
my
girl and I was
stars, his Friendly come to relieve me.
Oh, I'll tell you another time, Captain. Well, my dear, what news?
Oh, 'tis even as Sir John said. He is actually married. I have found the person who was present.
And he owned it to you?
He scrupled at first, but finding I was let into the secret, he confirmed everything that Sir John told me. I'm heartily sorry for it, for Emily's sake. Have you seen her this morning, Wellford?
Not yet. But I purpose presently going to take my leave of her, for I am determined to set out this night and rejoin my regiment. And if nothing happens to change my fortune, why
then, man, thou wilt not hang thyself on a willow.
Oh, heaven forbid you have more grace than to do so, I hope.
I hope so too, madam. But I shall be little solicitous to preserve a life that without her will be a burden.
Declare and protest. I am so grieved for you. I'm ready to cry perfectly. But who knows what may happen? Emily may still change her mind.
Oh, I have not the least expectation of that. One thing, however, let me request of you both before I go.
What is it, Wellford? You know you may command us.
That you will take Emily under your protection. To what must she be exposed in a world such as this? Young and beautiful as she is, an orphan without fortune. Let me not have the grief to add without friends too.
Oh, you need not doubt my tenderness for her.
Will you, my dear Mrs. Friendly, be a mother to my Emily?
Will I? My own daughter shall be not more welcome to me. I assure you, Mr. Wellford. Oh, I protest I am so troubled. I was never more troubled in my life.
I beg your pardon for this distressing you. We'll talk no more on the subject. The few hours I have to stay ought to be not spent in fruitless vexation.
A few hours sometimes produces strange revolutions, especially in a woman's mind. Emily's may alter.
Oh, you don't know her as well as I do.
Well, I'll not oppose you. Only beg for the present you'll clear up your brow a little. I have a mind to have some mirth with Sir John this morning, which shall, however, only be a prelude to a more serious scene. I shall go to him presently, and pretending not to believe a syllable in regard to his marriage, I will, by way of prevention, lay open all Mrs. Etherdown's conduct.
This may entertain you, Friendly, but what is it to me?
I wish, my dear, that it was consistent for me to go with you, that I might help you to talk to him properly.
Yes, Wellford, you shall have an opportunity. I find he is possessed with a belief that Emily has been inveigled away through mine and my wife's means.
Our means, my dear? Why? Can he suppose
Aye, but when he finds that his own dear Bab is at the bottom of it, I'll answer for it that my Lady Woodall will be turned off with disgrace. And
what does that signify now? She has done all the mischief she could already.
For my part, I think it will be doing an act of charity to rid Sir John of such a notorious body.
No doubt, madam, it is a Christian office to part a man and his wife.
From such a wife, I think it is, Mr. Wellford.
Right, my dear. Wellford is out of humour and would pervert our meaning. Leave the management of the business to me, Wellford. I think I shall entertain you.
Well, I fancy not.
No.
But take your own way. You'll excuse me, I must go and give orders about my journey, and then I'll come back and bid Emily adieu.
Perhaps you don't go, Wellford.
No, certainly, friendly.
Poor man.
Oh.
I vow I pity him. But if you are going to Sir John's, my dear, I'll step upstairs to Emily.
Oh, go and comfort the sweet girl.
Oh, a penurious wretch. 200 a year, and his estate is many thousand.
You may thank your stars you've got so much, madam. I reckon Mrs. Friendly has blazed your marriage all over town. For here have been so many people this morning with their bills. I don't know how many already. Here's a comfortable breakfast for him.
Yes, they are sent in by my own direction. Lay them down there. I now only want to provoke him to part with me, but it shall be his own act indeed.
Aye, for then I suppose he must give you a separate maintenance.
Right. For if you are faithful, nothing can be proved against me. And then you and I, Rose, will live together and so enjoy ourselves.
That will be charming.
Did you order the jeweller to call?
I did, madam. He will be here presently.
Bab! Bab! My Bab! What? What have we got here? What's all this bedizening for? Patched and painted too, I believe, by my soul.
Sir John, you will oblige me if for the future you will knock at the door before you come in.
Eh? Knock at the door? It was not that you said, I hope.
It is not manners to come so abruptly into a lady's dressing room. It is not indeed, Sir John. And let me beseech you not to be so vulgarly familiar. Lady Woodall hereafter, if you please.
Rose, can you tell what ails your mistress?
There's nothing ails my lady that I know of, sir.
No? Why, but Bab?
Bab, again. In 2 words, Sir John, I expect to be treated with a little more ceremony.
Hey, they mad, by my soul, fit for bedlam. This comes of my owning her. I must take her down a Pickles. Get you out of my room. I gave you a paper this morning, a little parchment, you know, a settlement on you, Bab. I'll take it from her by the Lord.
Well, sir, what then?
Why, there was a mistake committed in the drawing up of it, so if you could let me have it again, that I may get it rectified.
I haven't it about me, Sir John.
Here's Mr. Brilliant, madam.
Oh, bid him come in.
Mr. Brilliant? Who the devil's he?
My lady's jeweller, sir.
My lady's jeweller, quotha. Well, I'll treat you with a ring, since you put me in mind of it.
Servant, Mr. Brilliant. Oh, what have we got there?
I may bold to bring your ladyship a few things, which I think may please you.
Oh, let's see.
Here's a pair of earrings will come cheap. I can let you have them for £280.
Oh, baubles. How do you like, Sir John?
If you have got ever a neat diamond hoop of about 9 or 10 guineas, my wife may be a purchaser.
None so low as that, sir. I have from 15 to 20. Will your ladyship please to look at these?
No, you have nothing here we want.
I've brought a bill according to your orders, madam.
Oh, give it to Sir John.
No, I have no occasion for it, sir. I suppose I can furnish myself at any other shop as well as yours.
That's no reason you should not pay him, Sir John.
Pay him? For what?
A few trifles that I've had of him.
You'll find my charges very reasonable, sir.
Well, sir, you may carry your trinkets away.
If Sir John doesn't like the jewels, madam, I shall be very ready to take them again, with some allowance.
Sir, I shall keep them, and Sir John will pay you for them another time. Next week, you shall have your money.
It's very well, madam.
So, Bab, egad, this was a good, bold push. And you really thought I was drawn in to buy you some of those gym cracks? And...
No, I know you too well for that. But I think you ought to be ashamed not to pay your honest debts.
Debts?
Aye, there are all the people's bills.
Bills?
And vastly reasonable they are, in my mind. I don't suppose the whole amounts to above £1,500. You find I have not been extravagant, Sir John.
Why, what, you don't mean, I suppose, that these are debts?
Real debts, contracted by me, your lawful wife.
And that I am to pay them? You don't mean that?
Oh, undoubtedly. Well, who else should pay a woman's debts but her husband?
And I am your husband. And you are my wife. And these are all real, actual debts, you say?
All reality, substantial truth, as you will find to your cost. The farce is at an end between us, and you will find me quite a different creature from what you supposed, I assure you.
What? Why? What the devil are you? A woman or a fiend?
A woman of spirit, a woman of fashion, a woman of pleasure, expense, profusion, luxury. What do you think of me now?
Why, you're an imp of hell, I believe. Where's your saucer eyes and your cloven feet and your horns, pray?
Oh, I leave them for you, my dear Sir John.
Dear? Damn.
Why? Do you fancy I could ever have any regard for such a thing as you are?
Curse me, but I've a good mind to
beat me, I hope. Do your peril. Who is it that you threaten with your anger? Do you take me for the tame fool I have appeared all this while? And do you fancy I'll submit to your absurd humours merely for a maintenance? No, sir. Let me tell you, I shall enter upon a new system. I must have my separate purse, separate chariot, separate bed, my morning concerts, routes, visiting days. Oh, and if you expect that I should live with you, well...
Live with me? Fire and sulphur. I'd as soon I'll lock you up in a dungeon, feed you on bread and water, bastinado you. Starve you, make you lie on straw.
I despise your menaces. I am your wife, acknowledged in the face of the world, and I'll make you know it too.
I'll turn you out of my doors, expose you, brand you, confound me if I don't. And that scoundrel Sharpley, I'll kick him out of my house too.
Impotent, threatening. We both laugh at you.
I'll make you an example to all the world, don't you worry. Who's there? Yes, what do you want, servant?
Mr. Friendly has come to wait on you, sir.
I won't see him, sir.
He's coming up, sir.
You dog! How dare you let him in? Get up!
A good day to you, Sir John.
So, sir.
Oh, why so gruff, Sir John? Nothing now.
Nothing at all, nothing at all.
Oh, nothing at all? That can't be. You have too much sense and too much temper to be out of humour at nothing.
Oh, it's next to nothing. Only a little foolish debate here between Madam and me.
Ah, a debate between you.
Aye, she has been playing the wag a little with me this morning, that's all. Well, what sort of weather is it abroad, Friendly?
No, Sir John, I'm afraid there's more in this. You don't used to wear so angry a brow.
I tell you, I'm not in the least angry. Will you drink a dish of chocolate, Friendly?
Oh, no, not any, Sir John. And you, Madam, seem extremely ruffled.
Mr. Friendly, I'll appeal to you whether Sir John uses me well. He has refused to pay a debt for me this morning and has been so peevish about it.
Oh, fie, Sir John, there I must take your lady's part. So prudent a woman as Lady Woodall, such an economist. 'Tis but a trifle, I'll lay my life.
Oh, but £700, I assure you.
700 devils. Don't believe her a word she says, man.
£700, but that's a good round sum. But I suppose my lady has made some pretty little purchase now for your use. And you are so testy because you did not do it for yourself. Come on, is that not the case now? What is it, madam? A bit of land in the country or a house in town?
Oh, split your inquiries. Why, there's not a syllable of truth in the thing.
Nay, Sir John, you can't deny that you refused the man payment. The jewels, I'm sure, are cheaper than money, and if I'm not to appear like other people of my rank, I might as well be Mrs Etherdown still as Lady Woodall.
Ah, what, it was for trinkets then. To be sure, Sir John, you ought to pay your wife's debts, yes, and in my opinion...
Rot your opinion, sir. Keep it to yourselves. Curse you, you're so inquisitive and so troublesome. One would take you for your wife that had got into breeches.
Oh, Lud! Sir John, how can you be so ill-bred? You have not the least idea of good manners. You cannot imagine how rude he was to me just now.
Rude? To your lady? Monstrous! And to such a meek woman, too.
Death, sir, I'll be angry when I please, and reconciled when I please, without asking your leave.
Oh, come, come. If my lady has offended you, she'll ask your pardon. She's all submission and obedience.
I would ask his pardon? If he had any shame in him, he would down on his knees to ask mine.
She has such little coaxing ways, you know.
This is damned hard that a man must be besieged with such impertinence in his own house. Prithee, friendly, mind your own affairs.
Come, Sir John, all jesting apart. I will now do the office of a friend by you.
Sir, I want none of your offices.
Oh, look ye, Sir John. As I did not think you would have persisted in this ridiculous pretense of your being married, I would not last night add to the vexation of your niece's being stolen from you the knowledge of this vile woman's conduct.
You are an officious fellow, sir, and if this be your business, I desire you will leave my house directly.
Your house?
Yes, my house, sir.
Madam, this affair is growing too serious. I know Sir John is not married to you. We don't take him for such a fool, neither.
Sir, I shall call a servant to show you the door.
I would not wish to expose you, bad as you are, if I were not afraid that my friend's utter disgrace would be the consequence of his suffering you to pass for his wife.
Are you not ashamed, Sir John, to stand by and listen to his scurrility?
Gad, I think you seem to be a match for him.
Yes, Sir John, this woman, I speak it before her face, has betrayed and deceived you in every article.
I scorn all that your malice can invent.
But I can prove it, madam. Nay, what's more, that it was by your contrivance that Emily was spirited away by that rascal Sharpley.
Emily spirited away by Sharpley?
Yes, Sir John. That scoundrel, that vile tool, that abettor in all her iniquity, has conveyed your niece away and married her by all this time, for aught I know.
And much good may do him with her.
What in the name of Beelzebub is all this?
It is all as I tell you, Sir John. This precious hypocrite here, you see, doesn't deny it.
Sir John, you are the greatest poltroon in Europe if you don't fight him for abusing your wife thus.
Wife? Vengeance! I don't believe you are my wife if you go to that. I never was married. Get out of my house this minute.
Oh, aye, deny me if you dare. I am Lady Woodall in spite of you. All the town knows it now. Thanks to your wife, the public crier could not have proclaimed it more effectually.
Courage, Sir John. Don't let the termagant frighten you. Speak boldly and say at once, she is not your wife.
Oh, I do. Encourage him to expose himself. Honourable, honest, Mr. Friendly.
I believe she is not my wife.
Believe? Are you not certain of it, Sir John?
I wish I was, but I'm not certain. There's a curse of it.
What? Married to such a creature as this?
Yes, and this creature will force you, you, sir, in spite of your turbulence, to the full proof of what he has acknowledged to you.
Get you out of my doors, thou fiend!
Oh, it is mighty well, sir. Remember, you turn me out of your doors. Yes, I will quit your house and leave you to be the scorn and laughter of mankind. When you next hear from me, it shall be with an authority that neither you nor your friend there, that meddling, cynical, informing coxcomb, shall dare to dispute. And so, with the utmost contempt, I turn my back upon you both.
Oh, is this really so, Sir John?
Really so, Sir John? What the devil signifies your coming with your queries now? Couldn't you have told me this before?
What before what? Don't you say you've been married above this 12-month?
Death and fire, sir. It's enough to distract a man to hear such things. That woman is turned into a fury, I think. It's all magic and witchcraft.
I'm very sorry, Sir John.
Burn your soul. Keep it to yourself. Unfaithful to me? Friendly, this is damned odd of you to say so.
True, believe me, Sir John.
And Emily ran away with by Sharpley?
Fact, by your wife's contrivance.
Oh, the infernal sorceress. But it can't be, man. The thing's impossible. The fellow's almost an idiot.
Oh, you are as much deceived in that as all the rest. I tell you, he has owned all.
A dog. But I have one comfort left. The rascal's bit in his hopes. He thought Emily was to be my heir. I have a son, though his mother may be a... Oh, but I don't believe a word you say, Friendly. Do now own that this is all a confounded lie of your own inventing. Do, dear Friendly.
I wish it were for your sake, but it's all too true, Sir John. And what is still worse, Sharpley will possess your estate in spite of you. That boy, which has been palmed upon you for your own, is not even your wife's, but some brat brought in on purpose to induce you to own your marriage.
Yes, sir. You take me for a stock or an idiot, that you attempt to make me swallow such impossibilities?
Look, read this paper, Sir John. It is Sharpley's full confession of the whole plot. Rose, who was her mistress's agent in the conveyance of the child, though she herself was ignorant of the design, in her days of fondness for Sharpley, let him into the cheat. You will find the whole account here when you are calm enough to peruse it.
And the villain, knowing this, has married Emily? I'll have him hanged. As sure as fate, he swings for this. And that's a comfort. He has stolen an heiress, knowing her to be such. And that wicked imp, I'll be divorced from her. You can prove her an adulteress, you say? Well, you shall prove it, and I'll be divorced. And that's another comfort.
There, I'm afraid, Sir John, we shall find a difficulty. Although we have the strongest presumptive proof in the world against her, yet the law requires more in these cases.
Sir, it shall have all, and more than it requires.
There is not the least doubt of your being, I'm sorry to say, a cuckold, Sir John, yet the crime can't be proven against your wife.
Fury, sir, how dare you call me a cuckold? If anything would make me fight you, you are a barbarous, unworthy fellow, so you are.
But why? Is not your wife a...
Wife? Oh, friendly, that word is worse than 10,000 daggers.
Now, Sir John, do you see the consequence of your foolish as well as criminal affectation of wanting to pass for a worse man than you are?
Fiends, the vipers, the monsters.
And do you think that a woman who could submit to live with you under the infamous imputation of being kept could have any principles?
Hellhounds, robbers and murderers.
Or that low rascal like Sharpley, the mean flatterer of your follies and the real practicer of your imaginary vices, whose sole business in your family was to prey on your fortune and make a jest of your person, was to be bound by any ties of gratitude?
Scorpions, serpents, furies.
Or could you expect that an inexperienced young creature like Emily could be trusted in the house with two such wretches as I have described and not be undone?
Oh, friendly, friendly, friendly.
Do you see your folly?
My folly, my purgatory, my hell. Don't let your wife come near me, nor Sharpley, nor Emily, nor my own everlasting torment. I'll cut my own throat. My estate shall be forfeited. I'd be burnt at the stake rather than let them have it.
Will you at last submit to be advised by me?
What can advice do now? Am I not married to a strumpet?
Turn her off.
Suppose I do. I can't marry again. Can't hope for an heir. My estate will go to a scoundrel that has ruined my poor niece. Oh, friendly, I am punished for the sins of my youth.
Indeed, Sir John, I pity you.
It's death have I lived to be pitied too. Sir, you shan't pity me. I won't be pitied by e'er a man alive. And now I'm recovered from my surprise. You shall see the justice I will do myself on that crocodile and her brother. Who's there? Now bid your mistress come hither.
Her brother? Why, Sharpley's no more her brother than he is mine. He has acknowledged that he was only a creature of hers, entertained under that notion to impose on you.
Mercy on me! Mercy on me!
Sir, my lady's just gone out and said she should not return.
What's to be done now, friendly?
Why now, Sir John, I think what we must see what can be done with Sharpley. If you'll step with me to my house, I'll send for a friend of mine, a man deeply skilled in the law, who will consult on the occasion.
Good! I'll do it, friendly. I'll hamper him by the mass.
Aye, Sir John, we'll teach him to run away with heiresses.
Come along, friendly. I'll hamper him.
Forgive me, madam, for thus intruding, but I have now come to take my leave of you, to bid you farewell, perhaps forever.
My good wishes, sir, always attend on you.
And is that all, madam?
My prayers, too, for your happiness.
Unkind Emily. We met but yesterday, after a long, long absence. And is it thus we part today?
How did we meet yesterday, Wellford? Remember that.
I thought, madam, that a few rash words which jealous love forced me to utter might have been forgiven.
Think how you reproached me.
I was in hopes, my sorrow for having offended you.
Scorned and left me.
Since my crime is too great for pardon, madam, I can plead no more in my
I
case.
could have borne with patience every misfortune but that. The loss of parents, friends, fortune.
And can you, Emily, let that stubborn cruelty banish from you forever, from your presence, a man who loves you as I do? Cold, unrelenting creature. But I have done. Fare you well.
Wellford, I forgive you.
Speak that again.
I pardon your unkindness to me. And now we will part like friends.
Part? Did you say part? Sooner with my eyes, my life, my very soul. No, Emily, no. Since you forgive me, we will never more part.
Indeed, we must.
By heaven, we won't. What is there now wanting to complete our felicity?
Oh, Wellford, your ardour makes you forget it now, but will you always speak thus when the burden of a wife makes you feel the want of a fortune?
For shame, my love. What a thought is that to mix with our new kindled flames? No, Emily, the world contains not anything that I would not give in exchange for you. Why do you hang your head?
Wellford, this generosity of yours has quite conquered my resentment. But it shall not overcome my resolution. My heart is yours forever. Were I mistress of a crown, you should share it with me. But you shall not be partaker of my poverty. And now fare you well at once.
Barbarous creature!
What? Not reconciled yet? Well, you lovers have such preposterous notions.
Oh, madam, all my hopes are now at an end. Emily has forgiven me, yet peremptorily refuses to be mine.
That to me now is so unaccountable. But where is she? Let me give her a lecture.
She's now retired to her bedchamber. I thank you for your good intentions, but as I know your attempts will be in vain, I will not wait the issue.
You won't go till you see Mr. Friendly, sure.
You'll pardon me, madam. My own thoughts have rendered me unfit for any other company. I shall set out immediately on my journey, and so, my good old friend, adieu.
Now, as I live and breathe, I'll go to Emily and rattle her for this.
Where now, Wellford?
I am this minute going to leave town, Friendly, and I am glad to have met you to bid you goodbye.
I have something to say to you. You must not go yet.
Indeed, you must. Excuse me.
Sir John, do you insist on his staying? This is the gentleman I mentioned to you.
What the devil? A lawyer in militaries? He holds well. But I've been so masqueraded that again I'm surprised at nothing I see. Pray, sir, step in with us. I have material business with you. My name is Woodall.
I'll attend you, sir. Friendly, what can this mean?
Mind that, Friendly. A whimsical dog, I suppose.
Come, child. Will you not be reconciled?
Oh, but dear madam, you would have had me thus situated throw myself on a young man who has nothing but his sword to carve him out a maintenance? Suppose we should have a family?
Why, that's true too. And to be sure you would have one. I was not near so young as you when I married, and yet I have had 9 children, no less, I assure you, all alive and christened.
Well, madam, and doesn't this Agreed.
I have but 3 left now. The other 6 are better provided for, and very thankful I am that they are so.
Why, doesn't this strengthen my argument against marrying Wellford? You know he is liberal to a fault. He loves pleasure too much.
Young men, to be sure, will be gay. I remember Mr. Friendly when he was a young man. Why, he used to
But
go
good madam,
to
you
theatre.
cannot hear my reasons against a thing that you urge me to comply with, and yet are offering strong ones against it yourself.
God, child, I have not said a syllable either for or against it. To be sure, Wellford is a pretty young man, and as good a young man. I have known him from his childhood. Mr. Friendly had the care of him when he was a boy. My Harry and he are just of an age. I would be glad he were married to a princess for all that matter. But what must be, will be. And as you are a prudent young creature, you may have your reasons.
May have? Why, madam, I have been endeavouring to give them to you if you would hear them.
But I must needs say, if your rejecting him should drive the poor man to desperation, for to tell you the truth, he looked so, when he went away, he made my very heart ache.
Is he gone?
Gone, aye, to be sure. I thought I told you before.
Poor Wellford.
Yes, you might say poor indeed if you had seen him. I warrant you could sit down now and cry your eyes out for vexation. This comes of being positive. But, well, all's for the best. And so, my dear, you must think no more of it, but be merry and cheerful, and here will be Mr. Friendly home presently, and we shall hear all about Sir John. Oh, I vow, here he is, and Sir John with him, as I live.
My uncle.
Now, Sir John, are you satisfied?
How came you here, Emily?
That is a very extraordinary question, Sir John, but I'll tell you.
Hang me if you shall. I'd rather remain in ignorance till doomsday. Let the girl speak for herself. Was it Sharpie who carried you away from my house?
It was, sir. And by Lady Woodall's contrivance. I'm sorry to add she had reason for it. Very disgraceful to herself and you.
There's for you, Sir John. Very disgraceful reasons you find. A blessed bargain you have made of it, truly. To go to bring such a woman to be the mistress of your family, and an aunt to your poor niece, and a mother to that.
My dear, don't tease him.
Answer me one question, Emily, and speak truth. Did that lady of mine ever entertain a gallant or so in my absence?
She did, indeed.
Several, I'll warrant.
But, sir, out of respect to you, I now wish the story to be buried in silence.
No, why, she has turned out to be a very tigress and behaved worse since he has owned her than she did before.
I have turned her off, though. Why don't you tell that too, Friendly?
I am heartily glad of it. I knew it would come to this.
I am sorry, sir, that matters are gone so far. For the sake of your child.
Child? My Friendly says it's none of mine.
There, I knew it. Oh, Sir John, who would have thought you could have been made such a fool of? If you had taken Mr. Friendly's advice, but you were so obstinate and so refractory and thought yourself so wise.
Prithee, madam, hold your tongue. Friendly, have you no command in your own house?
And pray, whose is this child that you are to father?
Your husband's, I believe.
My husband? Sir John, he have an intrigue. Mr. Friendly have a correspondence with a loose woman.
Why not? Where would be the wonder, pray?
Sir John, you are very uncivil. let me tell you, and if you make nothing of such wickedness,
Heavens help me, my wickedness is a lasting topic with these good sort of gentlewomen. Pray, Friendly, desire your wife not to abuse me.
My dear, you're wrong, Sir John. He is very far from being wicked. He has indeed been grossly deceived.
Don't provoke me, Friendly. Don't.
Provoke you, Sir John? Does the vindicating your character provoke you?
My character, sir, is very well known. I want none of your palliations. If I have been an idle fellow, what's that to any man? Perhaps I may reform, if I take it into my head.
Well, as you please for that, Sir John. In the meanwhile, you must give me leave to bring in a friend of mine.
Whom does Mr. Friendly mean? Do you know, madam?
not I protest, my dear.
Wickedness and wickedness. I must be twitted, forsooth, everywhere I go with my wickedness.
I can't say, but I am very sorry for you too, Sir John. You have been sadly abused. No one can deny that. But many an honest man has been made a fool of before now.
Oh, madam, who do you call an honest man?
Why, to do you justice. Mr. Friendly says there's no harm in you after all.
Curse me, madam, but you are very absurd, and I won't bear this.
Nay, Sir John, don't be in a passion. If you are a dupe, it was not I that made you one.
Dupe! Dupe! Death! Do you know what you are saying? Do you know the meaning of that word that you use as familiarly indeed as if you knew what you said?
Yes, Sir John, I do know the meaning of it. You see, I do. It means that being made a fool of, and it means that you are a weak man and a credulous man, and one that is easily overseen, and one that doesn't know the difference between right and wrong, and one that thinks that he can...
And that thinks you are possessed with 10,000 talking devils. And I'd rather be buried alive than listen to you.
What? How now, Sir John? Quarrelling with my wife?
By my soul, there is no bearing her, Friendly. I wish you were as rid of her as I am of my plague.
Your plague? I scorn the comparison, Sir John. And, oh, Lord, Mr. Wellford, are you here?
I thought he had been gone.
Well, I luckily intercepted him in his flight and have, within this quarter of an hour, unravelled a mystery to Sir John and made him acquainted with this gentleman.
Well, Captain, are you disposed to marry, notwithstanding the sad example you have before you in me and poor Friendly here?
Poor Friendly? Oh, Sir
Don't
John.
worry him, my dear.
Sir John, if this lady can be prevailed on to accept of me my hand.
What do you say, Emily? Friendly has given me a good account of this young fellow, and since he is willing to take you without a fortune, I have no objection. I'll hinder nobody from playing the fool that has a mind to it.
Mr. Wellford, sir, already knows my determination on that subject.
You won't have him then. Oh, a spirited wench, by my soul. I like her for that too. How puzzled she looks, though, Friendly.
Come, I'll explain. Emily, you are your uncle's sole heir. Sir John is convinced that his supposed son is an impostor, brought in by Mrs Etherdown to answer her own ends. You will pardon me for making this experiment on your firmness of temper, and you, Wellford, for thus trying the sincerity of your love.
So, now, here's a surprise you. Egad, I think I carried on the joke very well.
Uncle, is it possible this can be true?
Faith, I don't know whether it's possible or not, but I believe it to be fact. There's been a strange, damned whimsical affair from beginning to end.
Why, I am quite in amaze, Mr. Friendly.
Softly, my dear.
Wellford, here's my hand, and since my uncle approves,
Aye, with all my heart. And since I am my own master again, I'll try what living a little virtuously will do.
Well said, Sir John, resolved like a wise and worthy man. And let me tell you, that is a better character than that of a fool and a rake, the first of which titles was all you got by affecting the last.
None of your grave sores, friendly. The wisest man may be deceived if he deals with greater knaves than himself.
Uncle, if you will permit me to return to your house, I shall endeavour to be the most dutiful behaviour.
Aye. You are all fine promises. I'll consider of it. But let nobody interpose. You know I hate that. I'll have a bonfire tonight. Get drunk. For joy that I am rid of my wife.
And here's Wellford and I will get drunk for joy with you.
Oh, brave friendly. Ah, you rogue. You would not let me be good if I had a mind to it. But I will, in spite of your teeth. I'll let you see I can be just what I please.
There's no contending with you, Sir John, once you are resolved. That I know.
You'll allow that, I believe, friendly. A determined dog, that you'll grant.
There are two criminals without, Sir John, that are afraid to appear in your presence. But since they have been so instrumental in detecting your wife's baseness...
Ah, you mean Sharpley and Rose.
Uh-huh.
As precious a brace as ever were unhanged. What would you advise me to do with them, friendly? I can transport them at least.
And I think you would do right, Sir John.
Oh, you do! Then to let you see I'm a better Christian than you, I will forgive them both. What do you say to me now, friendly?
Faith, Sir John, I think you are even with her. Shall I call them? Who's there?
I do. Oh, poor paltry devil's not worth my resentment. Though that Sharpley is a sad rascal too, for I was always kind to him.
And he has repaid your kindness, Sir John. For if it had not been for him, you would not be the free man that you now are.
Faith, that's true. Come in, you sneaking scoundrel, you. What, my oracle? My advisor? Hey, how's this? What the plague's become of your fool's faith?
That was but a mask, Sir John, which I wore occasionally for your entertainment, but now I have no farther use for it.
The devil owed me a spite, and he has paid me with a vengeance. So I am not angry with you. I don't think you worth it. Is not that right, friendly?
You see how much he's ashamed, poor bashful fellow.
As for you, Rose, you are a poor, ignorant wench, and did as your mistress bid you. I suppose you did not think you were doing any great harm, so I forgive you too. Am I right, friendly?
Never more so in your life. Come, Mr. Sharpley, since Sir John has pardoned you your crimes against him, the rest of the company must own themselves obliged to you.
I have promised that he shall not find me ungrateful.
Good madam, if you would but make Mr. Sharpley keep his promise to me.
Did he promise you marriage?
He did indeed, madam, or I'm sure. I should never...
And you want him to keep his word, I hope?
Yes, sir, if you please.
Go, you silly slut. You're better as you are. What do you think, friendly?
Oh, I think, Sir John, the woman's a fool who subjects herself for life to a man who must despise her.
Right. What do you think, Emily?
I think, Sir John, the man's a greater fool that ventures to take a woman that he knows to be a...
Stop! Death! I've raised a wasp's nest about my own ears. What do you think yourself, Sharpley?
Well, I think that having many sins to repent of, Sir John, I'll throw my lot in with Mistress Rose amongst the rest, but will not impose such a penance on myself as to fulfill them.
Well said, Sharpley. Egad, he's no fool after all. Rose, you see the bans are forbid on all sides. No more matrimony, as you love me.
No wedding, Rose.
By no means. It would spoil both of their fortunes.
Come, Sir John. If you weigh the good against the bad, you will find that you are arrived at a happy period in your life, for you have, within these 24 hours, acquired a piece of knowledge that you were ignorant of all your days before.
I have paid devilish dear for my knowledge, though, Friendly, and have learned nothing by it, but that there is no truth in man or woman.
You mistake me, Sir John. The knowledge I mean is that of knowing yourself.
Aye, Sir John. Know yourself, as Mr. Friendly says.
And now, Sir John, I give you joy.
And what, pray?
That you have recovered your senses.
I'd rather recover my money, though, by the mass.
Sir John, as you have lost nothing but a little money and a bad wife, and this affair has ended so well, I assure you it will give me great satisfaction to relate it in the most particular and circumstantial manner to everybody in the world.
Pretty Friendly, put a padlock on your wife's mouth, and then I should be glad of her company and yours to dinner.
And so I am neither to eat nor speak. Well, I thank you for your invitation, Sir John.
We'll attend you and celebrate Wellford's union and your separation together.
Agreed. And to anticipate all Mrs. Friendly can say of me for the remainder of her life, I will here acknowledge that I have been a sot, a fool, a dupe, a most egregious ass, that my wife was an artful, wicked strumpet, that Sharpley was a hypocritical rascal, Rose a cozening baggage, poor Emily, injured innocent, the captain there a generous lover, Friendly a zealous, honest fellow, his wife a discerning and prudent matron, and for myself that after passing through the fiery trial, I am come out, it is to be hoped, a discreet and sober gentleman. Now, madam, have you anything more to add? I'll lay you £50, Friendly. She has not another word to say.
Take up this bet, Friendly, and I'll go your halves.
Oh, done, Sir John.
Sir John, I thought after all the money you had squandered away and all that you were cheated of and all the debts you had to pay and all of the bad things...
Well said, my dear. Go on.
There's Friendly. Let me off half my bet.
No, Sir John, I have not half done.
Peace, my dear. Let us devote this day to mirth, and that Sir John may not be out of humour at his own lot, let him reflect how many are in the same predicament with himself without ever finding out.
True, Friendly, but I hope I may at least serve as a warning to my brethren. Taught by example, but I hope better than by rules. One dupe exposed may save 100 fools.